Hello and welcome back to Voice Behind the Case. Today we're telling the story of Annika Nikki van Heerden, a former South African police detective whose life ended violently in January 2026 on a beach in Plettenberg Bay. This case is based on public reporting, court proceedings, and media allegations. What follows is a factual retelling of Annika's life and the events leading up to her death, told with care and respect. Annika van Heerden, known to many as Nikki, was a woman who carried herself with confidence and independence. Those who knew her later in life described her as strong-minded, adventurous, and self-reliant, someone who didn't shy away from challenges and who trusted her own judgment. She built her life largely in the Garden Route, an area she came to know well over the years. It was here that she would eventually work, live, and form lasting relationships. From early on, Annika showed a sense of resilience. She was not someone who waited for life to happen to her. She actively chose difficult paths and committed fully to them. That quality would later define her career. Annika joined the South African Police Service and later became a detective at the Plettenberg Bay Police Station. Detective work is demanding, both mentally and emotionally. It requires exposure to violent crime, trauma, and the worst moments of people's lives. Annika worked in this environment daily. She investigated serious cases, including violent offenses and domestic violence. She understood how abuse escalates, how control can be disguised as care, and how quickly situations can turn dangerous. Colleagues described her as direct and capable, someone who didn't sugarcoat the truth and wasn't easily intimidated. She was comfortable asking difficult questions and confronting uncomfortable realities. This period of her life gave Annika a deep understanding of human behavior, particularly the patterns that often appear in violent relationships. Eventually, Annika left the police service. Leaving SAPS did not mean stepping away from responsibility or purpose. Instead, she redirected her skills into new environments. She lived in Knysna and later worked outside law enforcement. At one stage, she worked in Angola as a logistics manager, a role that required organization, leadership, and adaptability. This chapter of her life shows a woman who was not afraid to start again. She was capable of moving countries, changing industries, and building a new professional identity. Annika was not stuck in one version of herself. She was evolving. Annika maintained close ties with her family. Those closest to her described her as loving, lively, and deeply connected to the people she cared about. She was someone who stayed involved in family life and shared her experiences openly. She valued connection and companionship, and she believed in allowing herself new beginnings even later in life. That openness would shape the final chapter of her story. In January 2026, Annika entered into a new romantic relationship. According to public reporting, the relationship developed quickly. Annika traveled to Plettenberg Bay to spend time with the man she had recently met. She was optimistic. Family members later said she was excited about this new connection. On the Saturday before her death, she introduced him to her family, a gesture that suggested trust and hope for the future. To those around her, Annika appeared happy and open to the possibility of love again, but within a very short space of time, something shifted. One of the most significant and haunting elements of this case is a 10 to 11-minute voice note Annika recorded shortly before her death. According to multiple media reports, Annika sounded distressed in the recording. She spoke about troubling behavior and expressed fear. She described her partner as unstable and said she felt uncomfortable. The voice note was sent to someone she trusted.
Hierdie laaste boodskap is vir my die naaste aan die waarheid wat ek al op hierdie groep gesien het. Nou ek wil nou vir julle sê, in die laaste dae moet julle uitkyk vir wie die werklike profete is. Want in Matteus 24 staan, ek is nie seker van die vers nie, maar in Matteus is 'n vers wat sê, in die laaste dae gaan julle moet weet wie die profete is, want ons gaan vals profesies hê deur mense soos wat 'n demoon is. Hy's nie 'n demoon nie, luister vir my. Hy's 'n demon of lizards. En die Here het genoeg gehad van hierdie. Hy het genoeg gehad van hierdie. Luister vir my. Luister vir my. Almal van julle. Ek is nie 'n polar bear nie. Luister vir my, almal van julle. Julle almal vra 1000 vrae oor die Here, want julle wil in die Here glo. Hierdie man wat julle volg, het 'n man van die Here, Bevan van Druten, wat nou nie meer Bevan van Druten is nie, hy's Ouden Jonah. Soos die man wat deur die walvis uitgespoeg is. Want die Bybel is in kodes geskryf. Omdat die Bybel is in kodes geskryf. Die Bybel is in kodes geskryf. En julle moet ophou met hierdie van alles bevraagteken. Want die Here het gesê, jy moet glo soos 'n kind. Gaan julle nou glo soos kinders of wat met die Here doen soos dat julle kan sien? Dit is die einde van die wêreld soos ons dit ken. Ek sê nou vir julle. Julle luister vir my asseblief, luister vir my. Die Here is besig om deur my te praat. Bevan van Druten sit langs my. Hy is gebliksem deur 'n demoon, deur 'n legioen van demone. Die weet nie of jy 'n instrument is nie, want ek is net lief vir almal. Maar Bevan van Druten, my nuwe man, met wie ek wels gemaak het 2 dae terug voor die Here, en ek het die Here se hand op my kop gevoel. Want hierdie man is so moeilik om te hanteer, want hy gaan aan soos ek nou aangaan, en ek het vir hom bly sê, hou op, ons is 'n mal mens te kere te gaan. Maar hy is sterk genoeg om te weet dat 33 jaar terug, toe hy deur die see uitgespoeg is, was dit die Here wat hom gered het. Julle luister vir my asseblief. Ek weet, ek het hierdie kol gesien, ek het die pyn van Jesus Christus gevoel, die vrees, ek het die vrees gevoel. Julle moet vir my luister, asseblief. Ek het die naam Alaska vir myself gegee, maar my ouma, my God, sy is Johanna Burger, Hannah, het kom uit die Bybel uit. Luister vir my, Bevan van Druten, wat amper doodgeslaan is, die sê, wat vir my, sy beste maatjie, gesê het, ek sal nie vir jou lieg nie. Daai man het my uit die donkerheid van nêrens af in die gesig. Hy praat. Bevan van Druten het nie hou op hom gelê nie. Hy het vir hom gesê, ek soek net 'n vlammetjie vir my Roulie, want ek het kom kyk of die vrou wat in my sorg was, die een wat ek gesmeek het voor, Here stuur vir my die regte vrou. Toe stuur die Here vir hom nog 'n demoon, want hy moes seker gewees het, dat hy die regte persoon het by hom, en verstaan. Hy moes verstaan dat die boodskap reg deur hom gaan, deur hierdie vrou wat vir hom gegee is. Hoor julle my? Hierdie malman wat langs my lag, is Bevan van Druten.
Die bokser,
wat 2 gewere het. 'n halgeweer En daai ander geweer wat amper wat hy die masjiengeweer wat hy sê, hy was op pad om daai man in sy in te skiet, nê. Maar die Here het toe met hom gepraat en hy het verstaan, hy kan dit nie doen nie want hy het 'n moerse job. Julle verstaan julle hoe groot is hierdie job? Ek en hierdie man moet soos hoere te keer gaan. Ons moet soos hoere te kere gaan sodat die wêreld, die hele wêreld kan gered word. Hoor julle my?
On Sunday night, the 18th of January 2026, the calm near Keerbooms Beach in Plettenberg Bay was broken. Residents in the area heard a woman screaming. Police were called. When officers arrived, they found Annika van Heerden lying near a vehicle close to the sand dunes at Keerbooms Beach near the riverside area. She had suffered fatal injuries. Emergency services declared her dead at the scene. Annika van Heerden was 54 years old. Annika's death sent shockwaves through the local community. This was not only because a woman had been killed, but because she was a former detective, someone who had spent years working on cases involving violence and loss. Her death felt deeply unsettling. It blurred the line between investigator and victim in a way that was hard to process. Police immediately began an investigation. Not long after Annika's body was discovered, a man handed himself over to police. He was identified as Bevan van Dritten, a 53-year-old driftwood artist from the Garden Route. Police confirmed that he and Annika had been in a romantic relationship. He was arrested and charged with murder and appeared in the Plettenberg Bay Magistrates Court. The National Prosecuting Authority indicated that the state would oppose bail, and the case was postponed for further proceedings. As with all criminal matters, the accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty. After the arrest, several women came forward publicly. According to media reports, at least 6 women said they had previously taken out protection orders against the accused. They described experiences of fear and aggressive behavior. These accounts are allegations, not convictions, and they are separate from the charge related to Annika's death. However, their emergence added a broader context to the case and intensified public discussion around patterns of behavior and accountability. Annika van Heerden's case has resonated deeply across South Africa. She was someone who understood violence. She recognized warning signs, she documented fear, and yet she still became a victim. Her story challenges the idea that awareness alone is enough and highlights how quickly danger can escalate even when someone believes they are prepared. Her story, as told here, is based on public reporting and allegations, and the legal process surrounding her death is still ongoing. She should be remembered not only for the way her life ended, but for the life she lived before that night. Thank you for listening to Voice Behind the Case. This channel exists to tell real stories with care, clarity, and humanity.